This project demonstrates how to use a cell phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop device as a wireless display and remote control for an ESP32 microcontroller. No wires between them makes it possible to conveniently monitor and control the ESP32 hardware from a distance of several feet away from the device. This program starts a new Wi-Fi network, then it starts a web server. Once both are started, a user on a cell phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop with Wi-Fi can join the Wi-Fi network and then use their web browser to navigate to the web server website, using their device as a display device and remote control for the ESP32 microcontroller running the program. In this demonstration, the web page displayed shows how long the ESP32 microcontroller has been running since it was powered on as web page controls and buttons, so the user can remotely change the ESP32's onboard LED control and turn it on or off. The code provided can be easily adapted for other projects to display different ESP32 attached sensor information and remotely control ESP32 attached relays, dimmers, motors, etc. Following this demonstration, I will show and explain the program source code that can be downloaded for this project. Three significant features in this program's implementation include: first, this sketch using Wi-Fi access mode establishes a new independent Wi-Fi network that does not require any connectivity to any other wired or Wi-Fi connections such as modems and routers. The ESP32 could be running either standalone on a boat in the middle of the ocean or in a desert. Within Wi-Fi range, your cell phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop with Wi-Fi can connect to its Wi-Fi network to display ESP32 information and act as a remote control for it. Secondly, using the multicast domain name system library makes it possible for the web browser user to easily access the web server by entering a simpler name opposed to an IP address like 192.168.4.22. And third, using the XML request and response protocol minimizes the volume of data exchanged by the web browser and web server by eliminating having to send and process an entire web page on every user web page interaction. These statements include the libraries accessed by this program. These statements define global variables accessed by this program. These statements define variables used to control the RGB LED color. These statements below define the initial web server web page sent to the web browser. The web page consists of a combination of different web page languages, including 1. HTML, 2. CSS, and 3. JavaScript. The statements that I have highlighted represent the web page that is sent from the web server to the web browser. These statements display ESP32 runtime showing how long it has been running since it was powered on. These statements display a list box that the user can use to select the desired onboard ESP32 LED color to be displayed. These statements display buttons the user clicks to turn the onboard ESP32 LED on and off. These statements execute when the user initially navigates the web browser to the web server and the web page has finished loading into the web browser. These statements execute when the user picks a color from the list box. These statements execute when the user clicks the off button. These statements execute when the user clicks the on button. These statements send an XML request to the web server. These statements process the XML response sent by the web server to the web browser XML request. These statements update the web page runtime. These statements update the web page list box background color. These statements initialize the ESP32 RGB LED on the Espressif ESP32. Black is used to signify the LED is off. These statements start a new Wi-Fi network that can be accessed by the cell phone, tablet, laptop, or desktop's Wi-Fi. These statements execute when the user navigates their web browser to the web server. These statements execute immediately after the web page is loaded into the user's web browser. These statements execute when the user selects a color from the web page list box. These statements execute when the user selects the web page off button. These statements execute when the user selects the web page on button. This statement initially starts the web server so it is ready to be accessed by a web browser. These statements use the multicast domain name system protocol so a web browser can access the web server by its name opposed to its IP address. These statements execute about every second to retrieve information that will be delivered and displayed later as responses to future web browser XML requests. These statements retrieve how many milliseconds the ESP32 has been running since it was powered on. These statements have the web server send an XML response back to the user's web browser XML request. These statements change the LED color based on the web browser user input. These statements set the ESP32's onboard RGB LED color. And these statements below show my software development environment.